Reggie, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, doing good. Hey, wanted to ask you, Oklahoma traditionally over these last 5, 6 years, there's been so much emphasis on the offense during Coach Riley's era. What's it like now that a defensive minded coach is in Brent Venables has taken over this program? What's it like to you as a player?
It's definitely a shift, just because Oklahoma's always been or has been for the past couple of years, past few years, offense and known for their dynamic, explosive offense. So to now have, in Coach Venables' words, suffocating defense, have a coach like that who's more focused on the defensive side of the ball, more emphasis on the defensive side of the ball. There's definitely a shift. You could see, like just from some of the players, man, at least for me, I'd run through a wall for that guy, just because it's different. You know what I mean? It's not bad, but it's different, and I enjoy that.
With all the defensive opt outs, how important is it for you, a player like you, to assume more of a leadership role going in this bowl game and moving forward?
Well, what I've trying to convey to the guys was this is the most important game that we're ever going to play because it's the next game that we have. It's just not just we're in the Alamo Bowl. No, this is another game that we have. You know what I mean? So the prep hasn't changed. Nothing's changed. It's just that for me, I can actually more assume like I can be the IT. I can be how Perk was. I can be the leader now, or be more of a leader now because I always have had a voice. And it's really important. It's really special. I think it's a really unique opportunity.
Reggie, thanks a bunch, man. You have a good Christmas, okay?
No problem. Thanks, you too.
Let's go to Bob Billa.
Reggie, you mentioned Isaiah Thomas. What have you been able to learn from him during the last two seasons that now you can carry with you going forward?
I'd see, man, he's a great dude. He's a great guy to be around. But what I learned from him mostly was how he handled adversity. If you just look at his career here, the only thing that was guaranteed in life and through his career was adversity. So I think how he handled adversity, how he carried himself through, even with this season, how this season was a slow start, had a really slow start for a lot of the guys on our defense. So how he handled himself, how he carried himself, how he showed his maturity, how he showed his leadership, and just like the kind of guy he is. He's a great guy to be around. He's a role model.
And then what kind of feelings are going through you guys with Jamar Kane, Calvin Thibodeau coming back to coach bowl game?
Man, nothing but love. Those are the guys we started with. So I'd have no problem, finishing with those guys. Coach Tip especially, he recruited me. He came here that January, but Coach Tibbs recruited me. So to have him back and then to have Coach Kane back, the guy who's been my position coach since I got here, and to kind of have one last ride with the coaching staff that we have, I think it's really important, really special, and really speaks to their characters.
Appreciate it, Reggie.
No problem.
Jason Kersey.
Hey, Reggie. Good to talk to you, man. You mentioned wanting to run through a wall for Coach Venables, and I'm curious, how have you already got
Jason, we can't hear you.
Sorry. Can you hear me now, Reggie?
Yeah.
My apologies. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
The setting was screwed up. You said a few minutes ago that you would want to run through a wall for Coach Venables, and I'm wondering, did you have a relationship with him at all in the recruiting process? And what has he done? What has he said that's made you feel that way? Just in a matter of a couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, I did. He recruited me when he was at Clemson. We had a lot of conversations on and off. He was definitely my guy up there at Clemson. So to have that guy kind of like I wanted to run through a wall for him then. You know what I mean? Just to obviously it didn't necessarily shake out that I went to Clemson, but guess what? I'm here. I ended up going here and fun stuff, and now he's here. So it's really just kind of feelings reignited. I love that guy as far as that's concerned, and just the stuff he said. He's going to coach us hard, but he's going to love us harder. You know what I mean? We're gonna be he's been the gold standard for what a defense is the past 15 years. You know what I mean? So when you have a guy like that, and you have a guy like that who's talked to you multiple times one-on-one, then you understand and you realize that this is what it's going to be. When you have a guy who's coaching all these national championships, when you have a guy who again has been the standard for defense, then I think that it's really special and really important that I get to play for that guy.
I know that you guys were probably shocked by the Coach Riley news, but when you found out about Coach Venables being the guy, because of that past relationship, were you immediately pretty fired up?
Yeah, no, I was immediately. It was great. We were on a Zoom call, and obviously, that week and a half or so, where everything was just spiraling around, we really didn't have a direction. We were all just kind of scattered all over the place. It was a mess. But when we finally got it narrowed down to these two guys, and then we get the Zoom call and we see it's Coach Venables. Me personally, I love that, because I did always want to play under Coach Venables. So the fact that that did happen, I was more than excited, more than enthused.
Thanks a lot, man.
No problem.
Karen Emick.
Mr. Grimes, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Happy holidays, man.
Thank you. To you as well.
You said that it got narrowed down to two guys.
Yeah, yeah, but at the same time, I figured it was probably going to be Coach Venables.
Who was the other guy?
I can't say I remember at this point, just because everything that's happened. But no, when it was announced that it was Coach Venables, and then we get the Zoom call, and then
Sure.
we see him the next day, it's like, oh man, this is real. This is actually happening. So
Yeah.
we went from kind of scattered all over the place to we're now united, and we actually have a voice now. And then we actually have a head. We have a guy. We have two guys in Coach Stoops and Coach Venables, and obviously that relationship. And now it was great. I was just super excited to have that guy.
Real quick, it's funny to ask this of a guy who's about to play in a bowl game, because that usually is the exclamation point on a season, right? You go to a bowl or a playoff game and finish up. Given what you guys have been through the last week or two, especially, does this feel almost as much like a beginning, a reboot sort of for the program, this game, or does it come sort of as a period at the end of the sentence of the season?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
As far as that's concerned, it's closing the book on one chapter, but at the same time opening the book on a new chapter. So I think, especially with our coaches coming back and coaching this game, I think there's more of a finality in it. This will be the last game that we have with these guys, a lot of us who've been with them since the beginning, since they're Coach Kane's first year here was my first year here. So a lot of those guys who've been here since the beginning, at least my beginning. Finishing out with them, I think it's really important. I think it speaks to their character. It speaks to how those guys go about things. And again, with the new coaching staff, it's an audition, it's a tryout. You know what I mean? So I think it's closing the book on one chapter, but opening the book on a new chapter. And I have nothing but love for all the coaches we got here right now.
All right, very cool. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Jenny Carlson.
Hey, Reggie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Hey, first wanted to ask some of these assistant hires were just announced a little bit ago, but it sounds like Coach Chavis is going to be coaching your position now. Have you had a chance to meet him? What are your early impressions of him?
Yeah, we had dinner a couple nights ago. He had all the guys who were here, and and I think it was really important that he actually got to do that with us. The first impression, he seems like a great guy. He seems like a guy that I would love playing for. He said his main thing was making sure that we were good men, we were good people, good fathers, good sons, good business people, just to kind of go about things the way we do things, as opposed to football first. And I think that's really important. I think that speaks to Coach Venables, especially just because that's the hire he made. So I think that just because, as far as early impressions go, I think that's he's a good guy.
Okay, so you answered that way. Now I'm going to ask you a football question.
That's fine.
So you were talking about the opt-outs earlier, but I'm wondering, do you anticipate for you personally more snaps, more, importance on what you individually are doing? I know you guys have to do it together, but just because of personnel, do you feel like you'll be out there a little bit more in the bowl game?
I feel like that I will have whatever role that's given to me. So, in whatever role that is, and I feel like I'm more than prepared, especially with how this last year has gone. I feel like whatever happens, happens. So if, let's say I get 4 snaps, all right, those are going to be the best 4 snaps that I play. If I get 40 snaps, those are going to be the best 40 snaps that I play. So regardless of what happens, regardless of my playing time, in regards to the guys we got in the room, then I'm more than prepared and more than happy to accept that role.
Thanks, Reggie.
No problem.
Okay, we only have time for one more for Reggie. Chandler Engelbrecht.
Hey, Reggie, appreciate your time today. I wanted to ask you about Bob Stoops' leadership during this whole transition, everything from that team meeting when you guys first found out about the coaching change and then through practices. What has it been like to just have him around at this time?
That guy's a legend. He has a statue out front. So I personally was never coached under him, but we got Isaac here, we got Drake here, so he was always around. And you see him on TV, you see him on Big Noon Kickoff. So just to kind of actually have him as a head coach, you hear about the legend of Bob Stoops. So as far as that's concerned, he's a great guy. He's a guy that, again, I would also run through a wall for. Whatever was asked of me from him, I would be more than happy to accept and to do, just because he is everything that has been said about him is true. He is who he says he is.